All right, next up on the show is Ross Blanford from Houston, Texas. Ross, tell me what's happening in your world.
Well, Jeb, I'm managing a sales team of 8 remote sales managers, and we sell industrial equipment into distribution or what we call dealers. Those companies have kind of a package of complementary products uh, to help facilitate dust collection.
Okay,
So rather than trying to focus on selling an individual product to an end user, our team is interacting with the same group of customers on a regular basis and really trying to sell our company's value proposition over other manufacturers in our
yeah,
competition. So, along with that, at the same time, I'm trying to integrate something new. Uh, Calls on engineering firms to get our products specified on these large capital projects, as well as calling on the installing contractors to develop a preference for our product. I'd like to understand a little bit more about how a company like ours can do a better job of developing that preference and also leveraging our ability to inform influencers to achieve more pull through sales for our dealers.
gotcha. Totally understand where you're coming from. Work with another number of companies that are in the same situation. So just make sure that I've got this down. I want to understand this. You sell through distributors who sell to the end customers. Basically, those distributors are your channel partners, and those
Right.
distributors carry multiple lines.
Right.
And your rep's job is to make sure that your line is a preference for those distributors, and that they're out there repping your product.
Correct. That's been the main focus of our company for the past 50 years.
Gotcha. So some of it's going to be the relationship that your rep has with that particular distributor. To some extent, it's the relationship your distributor has with the company that's building. Some of it is whether that company is making a higher commission when they sell your product or higher margin when they sell your product versus somebody else. There's a lot of variables in there that can impact your ability to sell. But the one thing that can really game the system in your favor is if the end user says specifically, we want your brand.
Right.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Let me ask you this. What do you feel like are the dangers or the pitfalls of having your reps go out and have conversations with the end users?
Well, we're not having conversations with the end users. We're having conversations with the engineering firms that are specifying the products that are installed. And we're also having conversations with the contractors that are doing the installation because they're the ones that normally actually purchase the product.
Well, that would be the end user. I mean, when I say the end user,
Sure.
the end buyer, right? So the distributor sells to the contractor. The
Mhm.
architects are the ones that are building it in. So I've got a client of mine that sells into new building builds, like new office buildings, and they go directly to the contractors and directly to the architects. They want the architects early on
Right.
writing their products into the system. And then the
Mhm.
contractors are the ones that are buying it. Now they're passing those costs along to the end user or
Sure.
the company that's going to occupy the building. So I guess the question is what are the pitfalls of having your people standing in front of the contractor who is ultimately going to buy from the distributor?
What we sell is ducting that connects uh, a saw to a dust
Yeah,
collector. There are a lot of less expensive ways to do it, and a lot of contractors actually build their own ducting in their shops. So it's really an educational process so that they really understand the value of using our product over a lesser expensive product or one that they could build
sure.
themselves.
But there's not going to be a channel conflict with the distributor. The distributor's not going to get mad at your rep for going out and standing in front of the contractor.
No, generally not, because we
Okay.
tell them we're doing it for their benefit, and as a company, we're very clear, we don't sell direct.
Okay, good. Perfect. You're not creating any channel conflict. The distributor, even if you brought the deal to the distributor is going to get the profit for the deal.
Right.
Okay, great. That's how a lot of companies work in the channel space where you get problems. I've got a client that I'm dealing with right now, and they have created a massive problem because they went out and sold direct while they had distributors, and it's been a chaotic disaster. This is more like
I've
what we
seen
would call detailing, right? You're out educating the market, you're walking, talking, marketing to these contractors, you're educating them, you're helping them figure out a better mousetrap so that they can provide a better service to their end customer that they're building for.
yes.
So tell me
And
what you're doing right now in that space that's working and then help me understand where the question's actually coming from. So it's a great question. A lot of
Mhm.
companies do the same thing. It seems really obvious that this is what you would do. It seems like it's in everybody's best interest for you to do this. Like no one's losing in this equation. What's
Right.
working and what's not working?
Well, what's working are the lunch and learn meetings with the engineering firms, because they're the ones that basically, when the contractor says, "Hey, I want to buy this cheap stuff," they can go back and say, "Nope, this is what we've specified for a reason." So, we got a kind of a standard in our company where we're doing one of those a month per
Good.
salesperson, and ultimately the real challenge is when that business comes back to our dealer, they have us and they have a spin-off competitor whose only way to beat us is to cut price. And ultimately we've got a lot of added value, but in many cases, it's our salespeople are having a hard time getting past that price objection.
I love the lunch and learns, and I was going to recommend that you do that. Like, have some, do some webinars around this. Invite the contractors in. So not only
Cool.
just the engineers, but the contractors. Think about contractor specific programs that you can put in place. And if you've got a marketing organization, the marketing organization needs to be a big part of this. The marketing
Right.
organization also needs to think about what are they doing in order to create brand preference at both the contractor and the engineering and the architectural firm level. And that's going to be some really specific content-based marketing that they're going to focus on those folks. Like it could even be articles, things on your website, your blogs that the salespeople can use. Now, the
Sure.
salespeople have got, they've got a heavy lift because you've got a look-alike product that when you look at it, they say, well, it's all the same. And I don't have an answer for you because unless I was spent a week with you, I wouldn't be able to give you a prescription for this, but I can give you like the overview of this. So when we start thinking about the lunch and learns and we start thinking about any other touches with these groups of people, it may be that you need to back up with your marketing team and think about what the talk tracks are, or what are we doing to create that competitive differentiation? So that brand preference, so that people see that buying the brand is better than buying the knockoff. We deal with this everywhere in our lives, right? We deal with this in the grocery store. Why would we buy the brand name versus the knockoff?
Right.
Like, what is going to create that? Now, that may be some interviews that you do. Take a look at the people that are buying your product, because there are people buying your product. Go sit down and interview them. Why did you pick this over this? When you had the choice, what caused that? And get them to tell you, like narrate to you, what was the emotion behind it? What was the logic behind it? Think about contractors who are always doing business with you, that constantly buy your product. Maybe sit down with your distributors and have that same conversation with your distributors. Also, at the same time, it's the relationship with the distributor salesperson. So the contractor, however they're buying it, if they're going directly to the distributor or the distributor is going to them, the person that is dealing with them at the distributor, they're also saying, well, I've got this over here at a lower price. So they're your worst enemy in that situation. So if the distributor isn't creating brand preference, you've got a problem as well. Now, that could be that the distributor is making a higher margin on your competitor's product than on your product. So money talks and there are motivations. Maybe it's y'all need to do some lunch and learns with your distributors in a different way to show them the differences. I don't know what that looks like, and I'm sure you're trying to do that, but you got to think the distributor's your worst enemy in this whole chain, because if you've got the contractor bought in, you got the engineering firm bought in, you got everybody bought in, and they go to the distributor rep and the manufacturer rep or the distributor rep goes, yeah, these products are kind of the same, and you can get this one over here for 20% less than you can get this one, then you lose. No matter all the work that you did at that point of sale, you lose. So we've got to go in and try to work with that distributor to make sure that they are offering our products. Some of that is teaching them how to sell it the same way that your reps teach it. And one of the problems in your business, and you may not have this with your reps, is that your reps who are working with your distributors, rather than being drivers of sales, they become the help desk for the distributor. Every time there's a problem or an issue or what have you, they're calling on your rep, and your rep spending their time being the help desk versus being the person who is driving the process. How often is your rep on the sales call with the distributor rep in big deals? Now, the way that a lot of my clients solve that problem with their biggest deals is that they bring the deal to the distributor. Like they're out there with the contractor saying, you need to buy from us. They walk the contractor into the distributor, and they're part of the sales process. So the more of that you can do, the better off that you'll get in this situation. But you've got all those pieces and parts, but the weak link in the entire thing is the conversation or the interaction, either on, like if they're buying direct on their website or what have you, but however that interaction is happening, there's a moment of truth that you can't control. And if the distributor tells a different story than you're telling, you're going to lose the deal just because of the way that they handled it. You did all the education, but you educated them to go buy from your competitor. So I would look at all those pieces. You got marketing needs to do their job. You've got to create brand preference. You've got the lunch and learns, totally dig those. I love them. I would do more of them. Like I would find ways to do more of that education, get out there in front of folks. And then we've got to do the same thing with a distributor. We got to educate them, show them, we got to teach them why brand preference matters. We've got to give them the talk tracks for why you need to sell a better product. And then if you can bring them deals, all the better, because now you own that. And then I would sit down with the distributors as well and find out, walk me through when you lose a deal and you lose it to our competitor. Why did that happen? What's going on there? I think if you do all of that, you're going to kind of get a bead on what's really happening out there. You're doing all the right stuff. You're totally dialed in on this. Like I want to come out there and go sell with you because I love like this puzzle you're putting together.
Let's go.
Look at all, I'll come out there. Look at all the weak links. Figure out what those weak links are and see if you can strengthen those.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think ultimately, we have to, our sales team has to add more value to the distributor relationship, and by doing that, we can drive more dollars back to us.
Yes,
and that's the entire focus and the reason for my question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Ross. I really appreciate it. And I will take you up on that. I love selling. I like getting in the field. I like being out there. So maybe we can stay in touch. And the next time I'm down in Houston, I can go out and spend a day with one of your reps. It'd be fun.
That sounds great. Thanks again, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
day.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to click like and subscribe so you never miss a single video. And if you want more sales training content, go to learn.salesgravy.com.